Hi, everybody. We have Kathy and Annalise with us today. This is mom and newly anointed black belt daughter. It's really exciting to have you. Thank you so much for coming in and talking today for the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. So, Annalise, I have to say, usually I will start off by talking to people about what brought them to the martial arts. Basically, what do you remember about earning your white belt? With you, I'd like to start off by talking about what it feels like to become a black belt. Is there anything, what'd you feel? Tell a little bit about your experience this past weekend.
I feel like kind of proud.
What are you proud of?
Proud that I made it this far.
Or is it like climbing up a mountain that takes a long time, or a journey that takes a long time?
Yeah.
And there are some hardships on the journey, probably, right? Something's got hard. Mom's not in big time. So earning a black belt is not nothing. It's only for people who can make it along that journey and keep on striving. And so tell us a little bit about your weekend. What was it like being at the black belt test up in Estes Park?
It was hard.
Yeah.
Why was it hard?
Was it physically hard? Did you get super tired?
Yeah.
How about mentally? Remembering things. Was that part of it?
Yeah. Like remembering more meanings of that stuff.
What is it like when you're out on the floor and you're at attention and they say, Tigay, begin. Just like that, out of nowhere. What happens in your mind?
It takes me a minute to think. It takes me like a couple seconds to think of which form it is, and then I can get started. And I kind of remember the moves.
Your training help you remember?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is a great explanation. Like in a nutshell, you have to access, what does Tigay mean? Where does it begin? Your muscle memory comes into play. How many times do you think, just guess, how many times do you think you've done Tigay?
Maybe 70 times.
Mom, what's your estimation?
That's probably a good guess, because she did do it for a tournament one time too. So she practiced it extra time. So 3 times. Oh, okay. So, and prep cycle helps you with that. And yeah.
From mom's perspective, what was prep cycle like? And what was that like for you, having experienced 3 years of training and then going into a black belt test?
Yeah. So this was her 3rd time that we've tested through the black belt immersion. And every time it's been a different experience. The first time, because it was online, it was all virtual. And so she was 7 years old trying to stay connected through a computer at midnight, but she did it. And it amazed me. Somehow the instructors kept her engaged and participating. And as a brown belt going into that, she did her best, and then that was that. And then they talked about prep cycle. We didn't really quite know what to expect with prep cycle. Really looking back, it really put it all together. I mean, it was the part of the black belt that was the hardest work. Would you agree, Annalise?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a reason behind it, and we had to trust your instructors that that's what was going to get you to black belt. And even the difference between her, test in the middle from, high brown to your conditional to black belt, the growth of the team in general was incredible. Just reviewing videos of their forms together, everyone was just kind of performing to get through the forms and do their best when they were browns and high browns. But when they were conditional black belts testing, they were a team, and they they started and finished their forms together and worked together and cheered each other on. And it was so cool to see that growth and that teamwork. She was the most prepared and confident I had ever seen on a test before.
Annalise, as a teammate, what inspired you to get better or to help other people if they were not doing so well? Was there ever anything like that?
Well, we're all part of a team, and we're all kind of one big family. So it's kind of if one of us failed, we all fail.
Yeah, that's great that you really feel like that. Did you feel like there were some teammates that you helped.
Yeah.
How did you help them?
I like encouraged them and kept their momentum going.
Momentum is important during that weekend too, huh? Because you guys are all so tired.
Keep it up, right? Yeah, those instructors are pretty grueling, right? They're saying, everybody, you got to get up, and it's really hard work. When it comes to performing at a tournament.
Do you like tournaments?
Yeah.
Really?
I like competing against other people for like fun and getting to like meet people from other schools and get better at like forms.
How do you get better at forms through a tournament?
I practice, and like the end I can ask my instructor, like the judges, what I could do better, and then what they say I can like imply to my forms.
Mom, what do you think about that process of feedback and improvement through karate? Have you seen that? Has it been present?
Yeah, I think that's taught an incredible lesson, actually. The tournaments were kind of the first place that was applied, where they said, oh, good job to everybody. If you'd like to come talk to us about anything specifically, we do. And Annalise jumped up the first tournament and went and asked what she could have done better. Even when she won first place, she still went up and said, what could I have done better? And I think that's an incredible lesson for everybody. There are so many adults that could do better at seeking feedback. And what a great way to learn that, to know that even when you win, you can always grow. And I think that tournaments and then karate in general are great examples. The tournaments are a time to compete, but also to learn good sportsmanship, of course. But then in contrast, like the black belt test, you don't win and other people fail, right? Like you don't win on the back of somebody else. Like everybody can pass the black belt test. If everyone's there and participating, everyone leaves with their new belts. So it's not that just a certain number get through. It really teaches that, your hard work, you can all bring everybody together, and it's not about beating others. That is an important lesson, as well as, with this good sportsmanship thrown in.
That's awesome. Do you know what a paradox is, Annalise?
Yeah.
Have you heard that term?
What a paradox is?
No.
I bet you will understand the concept, if not the term right away. But we talk about paradoxes all the time, and that is one of them. There's competition, and competition kind of means you're working to beat someone else, right? If you can do 80 push-ups, I'm going to try to do 81, something like that. But there's also teamwork, where you want everyone to, just like your mom said, to win and advance. I think of it as a paradox in martial arts that's really interesting, where you're working on both of those things at the same time. Is there anything from your experience, Annalise, that you remember that really stood out? Anything that surprised you about karate training?
I didn't expect there to be like bigger, longer tests.
So when you tested for your orange belt, you didn't realize that the black belt test was 3 days.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it sneaks up on you a little bit, right?
How about sparring? Were you surprised about sparring?
Yeah, what about that?
Like, I think I seen black belts spar, but I've never done it. So when I had a purple belt, when I sparred for my first time, I wasn't really prepared.
Now, what do you think about sparring?
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about sparring. So go back to your purple belt days. You were unprepared. You put on your pads, and what happened? Or what did you expect to happen?
I expect it to be just couple hits that I could just easily block, but it was much harder than that.
Were there more moves? Was there more movement?
Yeah.
Was it faster than you thought?
Yeah.
And how about now at the black belt stage? Now, has sparring changed? Your feeling about it? Your approach to it?
How was your sparring change now that you're black belt?
I'm more prepared for what is coming when I spar. I'm not scared. They're going to be moving around me, sort of. And I'm going to have to be adjustable to that.
that is a really sophisticated response to that question. And I think, not to jump too far ahead, Mom, but when we think about driving,
oh gosh,
but it's something that is similar, right? The first time you're ever behind the wheel,
you're right. And to anticipate, right? To be defensive drivers.
You kind of know, you probably know, Annalise, what a steering wheel does, what the brake pedal does, what the accelerator does, right? In your head. And that's a little like being a white belt, a gold belt, a green belt, going, I know what a front punch is and a back fist and a round kick. But until you're actually behind that wheel yourself, you don't quite understand how you relate to everything else that's happening in the traffic pattern. And it is a valuable introduction, I think, to confrontation, to different forces that are coming into your sphere. So tell me something, not to give away your secrets, but if you're on the sparring line, what's a go-to move for you? What do you like to do?
I like to do round kicks and other kicks.
You're a kicker, huh? I love that. Yeah, you come from a good lineage at Ripple Effect, that's for sure. Tell me if this is true or not for you, but your legs are longer than your arms, right? And so kicking tends to keep people at a distance. Do you like that? Is that part of your strategy, to keep people away?
Yeah, because it's much easier to block in. They can't score as many, so it's easier to block.
Yep, and set up a kick, or
it's either to block while you're kicking. Is that what you're saying? Or block kick?
Yeah, block that kind of. When they're it's easier when they're not up close.
Now that we've talked about some advancement, let's go back to that initial question. I always love to ask people, how did you even get started in the martial arts? What brought you to think about it?
I went to a birthday party, and it kind of inspired me.
Yeah, she went to a birthday party and she was 5. She's a late birthday, so it was the summer before she started kindergarten. And I was so impressed with how they immediately, in that 30 minutes, had her yelling and kicking and saying, self-motivating statements. It was so amazing. And she's always been kind of a shy kid, and going into kindergarten as being one of the younger in our class, I was really worried about that. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to build her confidence, because even at that first day, she stepped out on the mat and found her voice.
As a physical activity, Annalise, how has karate been for you? And you probably do a lot of other physical activities at school or with your friends and recreate and everything. Is there something about karate that's different?
Yeah, in karate, we're all one big team. And then other stuff, we kind of break into other teams.
How's it different for your body though? Do you like the exercise forms differently than riding your bike? Does it feel different?
Yeah. Riding your bike, you only exercise a couple parts of your body. When doing forms, do all the parts of your body.
Including your brain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that brain gets real exercised, especially when you're 10 o'clock on that Saturday night of the black belt test. Yeah. How about the celebration at the end? How does that feel to you when you're on that Sunday and you're up doing your final forms and you've earned that black belt? You've really earned it. How does that feel?
It feels good.
Is it, I'm talking from a shy person to a shy person. That can be one of the harder things for me, is to really recognize that cheering or the high fives and the recognition that I've done something well. That can be a challenge. And that's something that karate has helped me with, if that makes any sense.
Were you a little embarrassed to be in front of people, or did you feel proud?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
And when you think about coming back into classes as a black belt, how do you feel about being a black belt leader when you're in a class with white belts or gold belts? What do you think about that? How would you act, or what are you going to do?
I felt like a leader, and that I could make an impact on how they earn their black belt.
I'm excited about the impressions that you're going to make on those shy kindergartners that are coming up as white belts, going forward. Any other stories that you guys want to tell? Anything funny? Anything exciting?
Yeah, I remember her at one of the belt promotions. And again, this is our shy kid. And this was one of the group belt promotions. It was really big. And they'd asked for the word of the belt. And she, raised her hand and started trying to talk. And she was so small that nobody could see her. So Master Macy picked her up and put her on the table so she could, Master Wagner, so she could yell and say the word of the belt. And she stood up in front of all those people and did it. And that skill has carried through. I mean, she stood up in front of the whole Black Belt Summit and did her leadership project. And then again, in front of everybody, plus all their loved ones, and did her creative form. And that translated, because just today at school, she had a book presentation and she got up there without pause. And I wasn't worried for a second that she could get up there and present, because I knew she had just done a way harder presentation. So it just trickled down to all those things from her, purple belt promotion. That's one of the biggest lessons I want for her, is that you can make mistakes and you can grow from them. And karate's been a safe place for her to do that. I think the ultimate takeaway for a parent, from a parent's perspective, is I always, I'm her biggest cheerleader. I'm her biggest fan. I want her to grow and succeed. But to see so many other adults doing the same thing, pouring into her and knowing she can do it and believing in her, that really means a lot.